Hey folks, welcome back to Straight Talk Whiskey, episode number 25. Today, as you can see, we're in a different location than usual, in upstate New York here. Beautiful scenery, beautiful day out, it's not raining, so thumbs up. I asked, maybe it was a couple days ago, what we're going to be reviewing this week, and if there was any suggestions as to whether we should do American bourbon or whiskey or Irish whiskey, Scotch, that sort of thing. So came up with Irish whiskey, so we're going to do something a little bit different that is out of the norm for episode number 25, and that is Connemara Peated single malt Irish whiskey. It's pretty interesting. I was just, as you know, if you've been watching this, you know that I was in Ireland for 2 weeks, and actually I'd say one of my favorite locations in the Republic there is probably Connemara. It's just, you know, like the little tint here has the scenery on here, the mountains, the lakes, that sort of thing. You know, it's exactly what you get there. It's kind of a rugged backcountry, if you will, that we have in scattered spots around here, but not really that much, as you know, most of it is a bunch of concrete and buildings, especially where I live. It's hard to get to somewhere like this, so that was kind of a vacation for me. So let's talk about the whiskey. Peated single malt Irish whiskey, one of the only peated Irish whiskeys. As you know, we normally attribute that to Scotch, but if you go, especially out in the western portion of Ireland, you can see the little, peat bogs that are out there and all stacked up, drying outside, which I don't know how they dry it that well outside, because it always seems to be raining, you know, at least on and off. So if anyone knows the secret to that, you know, chime in. So what we have here is something that is more similar to Scotch, especially since it's distilled twice and not the traditional 3 times that we associate with Irish whiskey. So definitely something interesting here. I believe there's a couple variations out there. There might be I think there's a cask strength Connemara, maybe a 12-year, that sort of thing. So that's definitely interesting. I gotta say that the first time I had this, I was kind of new to whiskeys, and I'm not sure if your experience is similar, if you've had this before, but it's kind of like a little bit jarring when you start to smell the peat in there, expecting, you know, oh, it's an Irish whiskey, it's going to be nice, light and sweet and fruity and that sort of thing, and, you know, it's a little bit of the opposite here. So as you can see, color, nice light gold, not too saturated in that regard, just a nice pale color. So let's go in for the nose. So obviously the first thing that you get is the peat in there, but it's not overwhelming. It doesn't, you know, clog up your nostrils and leave you, you know, with that smell for days. It's just a light sort of thing. Also get some like sea salt in there. Definitely takes you to the seaside, especially the western shore of Ireland. Just, it's unique, and you know, I'm really glad I got to experience that, because now I can kind of attribute this to that location. You know, it tastes like it's, you know, off the land. It doesn't taste, you know, over manufactured and marketed, like all that kind of garbage that kind of seems just bland and like, oh, this is what it is type of thing. This feels like, you know, it feels as if a couple people were doing it, you know, and have been doing it the same way since the 1700s when this started. You know, this is made by Cooley, and I wasn't able to get there, but I got to Kilbeggan, which was Kilbeggan Distillery, which is interesting. They're making a couple things, obviously not as much as they used to, but still can taste this there and a couple of their other things. Single grain, which has been highly awarded, rather, and so that's definitely interesting. The company that imports this is Kilbeggan, so you might have heard of the Teeling brothers as well. John Teeling is one who kind of started that all. and they just kind of recently, within the past 30 years or so, I believe, just got back into distilling again. You know, the times that the 20th century, especially the early to mid 20th century, wasn't so easy on Irish distilleries, as we know. But you know, it's stood the test of time. Definitely had its ups and downs. You know, we lost a lot of distilleries over there, especially Prohibition, that sort of thing. But you know, it's great to taste something like this because it's not traditional to what you might expect in an Irish whiskey. And don't bash me over the head for this, but it does have a slight nose reminiscent to like a entry level like Bowmore, especially the small batch that we reviewed earlier. I can't remember which review that was, but it definitely has that same sort of nose to it. It's sweet. It's got a nice barley note to it, especially the malted barley. Fresh bakery, almost nice baked bread, that sort of thing. So let's go in for the taste. Yeah, I feel like this is a whiskey that just keeps getting more delicious as I keep tasting it. Because it's just, first thing that rolls off the tongue was this nice peatiness, but also kind of lifted across by the slight spiciness, but not too overly so. Dried nuts definitely in there. It's got a sort of filmy texture to it that you might expect with something like a trail mix or something that was, you know, mostly like dried nuts, that sort of thing, almonds in there. Slight fruitiness, but I think that's dumbed down definitely with the double distillation rather than the triple distillation. What you get is some of the more earthly characteristics of it, which again makes it really unique. I think it is, at least for me, it was an acquired taste. Like I said at first, it was a little jarring, you know, tasting it and comparing it to the other Irish whiskies that I had had before. You know, the typical Jameson, Bushmills, Paddies, that sort of thing. All kind of have the same really foundation to it with, you know, slight tweaks here and there. But what you get here is something totally different, and it's just, I think it's great. You know, I really need to go out and get something that's cask strength of this would be really interesting to taste. Yeah, because you know what you get here is it's something that it's got a nice body to it. It's not, in terms of finish, it's not long lasting, you know, it's still got that crisp cleanness that most Irish whiskeys have, but it's not something that leaves you with a bitter taste in your mouth. It's still got the sense of the sea salt and these grassy, earthy notes still to it. So there's that, like I said, 40% ABV. You know, that's just the way it is, you know. 43, 46, I think, should be the standard because, you know, it's quality over quantity, and I think people, like I've said in other reviews hundreds of times, people can discern quality over quantity pretty easily. There's more discerning whiskey tasters out there. They want something unique. They want something that's not, you know, bullshit to them, if you will. And I think this does a nice job, but yeah, we got to get that ABV up there. Just as an industry standard, I think would be great. But I don't have my little board here for the score. I'll probably work something out eventually to get that to you. But I can say this is probably, I would say, an 87 out of 100 if I were to give it a score. There's not a lot to compare it to in terms of Irish whiskey. There might be a couple other things out there, but as just basically a, you know, peated single malt Irish whiskey, you know, I think 87 is a pretty fair score. So yeah, that's it for episode number 25. Next week, I'm not sure what we'll have. Definitely comment during the week, especially on Facebook. That seems to be the best place to kind of keep track of thoughts and comments and that sort of thing, opinions, because we'll see what we have next week. And Could be another Irish whiskey, could be something completely different. You never know. So, as always, drink responsibly, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.